Peace be upon you. Full moon in Cancer. Capricorn is going to oppose its Sun is in Capricorn. Venus and Mars are also in Capricorn. Again, opposite to this moon in Cancer. Now, the higher aspect of Capricorn will help you balance out the rather more emotional influences. The lower Capricorn, again, calls you back to what you need to honor, life path, purpose, and overall chores, tasks, responsibilities that you got to handle without, hopefully, you don't fall in this lower aspect of Capricorn, which will have you either need to seek for validation, and the higher aspect of Capricorn does not care, will be able to stay focused and balance out their emotions. You're going to have to learn to draw some boundaries at this time. Emotions are going to be quite intense, but paired with that Capricornian Sun energy, it means creative ideas, visualization, manifestation via visualization alone, you staying in touch or honoring or accepting these emotions. This is not about setting intentions. This is just hands-on, tending to what is most urgent at the time, unapologetically so. It's very independent, individual. It ties in again with purpose, with how you need to process certain things. But this is the season to literally open your hands. So it's not about setting intentions per se. When you open your hands, it's usually also to release what you're already holding on to. So that's how the process starts now. So it's a filtering, it's a sorting out, it's a revealing of emotions, needs, purpose, priorities, and tending to them. Again, hands-on. It's very proactive, very intense, very emotionally fulfilling. Almost as if you're walking on clouds. You're able to hold presence. Again, careful about those Capricornian negative aspects in shadow mode, opposing you, which again may have other people reach out to either need or require or request either your focus, your energy, kind of derail you, distract you, push your buttons, demand or expect or ask things from you, and you're asked to basically resist that. So hence set up your boundaries and keep your focus on what's relevant to you. At least postpone major decisions at this time and set no long-term plans or intentions whatsoever. One thing at a time. It's a process here that begins, a very productive one. This is about you finding that inner balance, tending to your own needs, being extremely self-sufficient, taking it upon you, not waiting nor expecting nor allowing anything to get involved in these things you gotta tend to. And this is also the perfect dynamics, whereas opposites can be harmonized. So the Capricornian higher aspects also lead to what? Commitments, connections, partnerships, finding kindred spirits, being able to align in desires and experience and wisdom, and finding common ground, and being able to work with others as well, but this time around without the toxic implication. Whereas we place expectations on one another, we try to please others without sacrificing yourself as you are, basically. If someone takes you as you are, at the same time you may find yourself that you may be sharing certain tasks with others without you being neither triggered nor too concerned, nor projecting expectations, nor overthinking about what is this connection, what is this going to lead to. So almost as if two people can work side by side, autonomously, joining forces merely because they share a common goal. So it's extremely powerful for pairing, coupling, harmonizing opposites, aligning the action with intention and emotion, aligning in opposite views, for example, being able to again find that common ground, joining forces. But again, this is going to limit you to working only with those that are in that right vibration or are aligned in this very self-honoring, self-sufficient, not toxic, productive, creative kind of an and in tune with oneself, sovereign kind of an energy. You're only going to align and be able to work with people at those stages, right? That mirror reflect the same kind of natures and spiritual degrees and intentions and goals. But again, in an independent, individualistic kind of a manner. In other words, there are unions with no strings attached. So this is also when you're going to start taking relationships a lot more serious. That's why you're able to no longer fall in the trap of trying to make things work, convince anyone of anything, needing to prove anything to anyone. You're also going to be recognizing others who come from that toxic need to either be validated by you, obtain something from you, pull the wool over your eyes. Whether they do that intentionally or not is irrelevant at this point. You're just gonna not be able to interact. So perfect space for most of you to either reconnect with your partners in a more mature, wise manner, whereas you don't have to betray yourself, you don't have to lie, there's more honesty, there's more transparency without egos being triggered and so on. There are deeper connections anchored higher in the sense of you connecting with people that are also keen and interested in fulfilling their own purpose. Maturity, commitment, and determining, being quick to determine, reveal the power of intentions and the nature of certain intentions within you or others. So you're going to be able to select, filter out positive intentions, straight to action, no overthinking, no conditioning, and no one's going to prevent you from doing. So you're going to do what you have to do in order to translate an inner knowing of some sort, an inner revelation, tending to an emotional need, and so on. Process it via action. So manifestation. So there's a focus, a powerful focus on what you truly want and desire. There's alignment with your own needs, recognition of your higher needs, a need to remove, alchemize, or revisit certain needs that they're going to be revealed as toxic, unnecessary, invalid, and you're going to be able to therefore focus on those that are either being substituted with if they're renewed, or even better, you're going to be able to, once all others have died, hopes, dreams, expectations, to revert or return back, restore long lost ones from childhood, so finding new passions. And these are the passions of the heart. They're so beautiful because even if you were to meet your person right now, again, there's this harmony in between what is felt, what is being said and done, and the force that connects two people in this project is quite a harmonious, balanced one. So it presents all the possibilities for these connections to last for a lifetime. If you find a job now, it's going to be a long cycle. So commitments are upon you. Take it or leave it kind of an energy. No imposing, no manipulation needed, no expectations, no long-term projects, no nothing. Whether it's you putting on others or others trying to put them on you, no. You're done playing those games at those levels, and you're going to be able to more easily now recognize and cut those either habits or tendencies out, whether within you or others. As for the obligations that at this point, in all honesty with yourself, are starting to realize that they're way too heavy and maybe your heart is not in it, and that's the very reason on why you couldn't carry them out, it's time to drop them. It's fine for you to say, I don't want that responsibility. Obviously, because maybe I'm perfectly fine with doing this, but no, I'm not doing that. Or at least give it another spin on it. See if you can approach it differently. So you're asked to inquire in regards to the things that you felt obligated, forced, as a burden, as a sacrifice, and revisit them and see if maybe there's a different reason on why you felt obligated or felt as if you were meant to expect or do certain things or be in a certain manner. Maybe there's a different underlying reason to that. And maybe that can shift your perception or perspective over that obligation. For example, finding a job. If it feels heavy, you're going to struggle to find it. When you will, it's going to be a hard job and so on. But if you give it another spin, maybe I'm seeking for a job because in reality I'm ready for union and I want to be self-sufficient, so that we avoid toxic spirits to come about, right? That instill toxic dynamics of codependency and so on, may affect my ability to discern on what my motivations are when I do connect with someone. Is it possible I'm merely choosing partners based on my physical or financial or material needs? Is it possible I'm doing it because I need some validation? So you gotta individuate. What are the things that you need to tend to in order for them to no longer interfere in the processes that truly mattered for you, in the experiences that you truly desire and want to have? So if you want a partner, all opportunities will basically reflect that need to revisit, reevaluate, and come back in touch with your actual needs and honor them and act from that space of clarity, understanding, self-honoring, self-respect, truth, unapologetically so, sense of worthiness and deserving to experience those things, but also taking it upon you to remove whatever may prevent you from being able to experience them. So what is standing in between you and your desires? Individuate, and at the same time take the necessary steps to live as if it's already happened, and to make space for that thing in your life. So again, it's about the opening of the hands, but before you receive, you got to drop what's in it. If you're holding on to something, drop it, right? And use your hands to channel something entirely new into the world, and not even expecting for anything anymore. Acting as if you've already did in energy, and it's on you to make it happen or expand towards it, so that you can actually experience within timeline as you advance. There will be a tension in between, again, emotional needs and material or practical desires. Whereas your heart is telling you to be as sincere and vulnerable as possible, you have to find ways whereas you get to do so, whether with yourself, whether in meditation, and if you're blessed enough to have someone you can trust at that level, so that you explore that, while in opposition also being more determined to achieve things that you may have expected or may have been convinced that someone else is more capable than you, or that you cannot do it, or so you got to push those boundaries in a practical sense. So how do you want to look your life to look like? How and what do you choose to invest, and where, and for what purpose? What brings you truly a sense of fulfillment? And ask yourself if your habits, your patterns do actually reflect that commitment that you may have already made. But again, you may not have been able or had the proper means or opportunities for you to actually start having your reality perfectly translate or convey who you are, what your values are, what your needs are. So it's about authenticity, transparency, self-reliance, sovereignty and personal power. And a reminder for you to make that commitment towards your path. And let's look at the energy. There's so much to say, but the internet is full when it comes to the astrological implications. Now, while we look at this energy over here, let's see. Oh, since it's Cancer, Aries. The Five of Wands. An inner conflict that may translate in an outer one. You may do it more abruptly, more violently, more unexpectedly. Very fiery. No questions asked. This is ambition. You're pushing through or out or over what you perceive to be judgment. You feel as if you've surrounded, or somehow you ended up surrounded by all the wrong people. And you feel as if you're living some form of a lie, and you're going to break out of it. Your number is 26, Haya, 5 of Wands, especially when it comes to matters of work, long-term plans and projects. And you are going to become extremely, almost unstoppable, proactive, directed, persistent, coherent, determined, empowered. You're actually going to inspire others in that sense, some form of a waymaker energy. Whereas you're going to grab onto something and you're not going to give up until you are successful. A message for you. It's a reversal. What excuses am I making right now? And I think you're done. I think you're starting to realize that maybe it's not the people. Maybe why am I even here? Again, you're like a fish out. You're in the wrong place. You're just realizing you just got to get out of it. Whether that's a working space, environment, land, state, home, city, relationship, it doesn't matter. No more waiting. There will never be a good enough time. The time is now. Again, it's a bit abrupt. You're just doing it. Today's soul action. If it's important enough for you, you will find a way. Today, make a decision and do it even if you don't feel ready. Listen to your heart and you will be led. It from the outside appears impulsive. Yeah, you're gonna do what you have to do. Powerful. Again, a bit abrupt. If you can pace it down a moment, make sure, you don't have to hurt others in order to. So, Taurus. 8 of Swords. Number 14, Mebahel, God protector and savior. Truth and justice, protection from enemies who would steal one's fortune. You're gonna remove a person. Defeat the mighty enemy that you now recognize as such. You may not have realized it's someone you either looked up to, even worshipped to some capacity, idealized, should be the word. Someone you've idealized, you've chosen to see the best of the best. There was this something amazing about them, right? Immense, great. And then you realize, wait a minute, this person's nature, it's quite tyrannical. This person can harm it. They're dangerous. They seem to be corrupt, angry, bitter, violent, and so on. There are many forms of that. And unexpectedly so, you're gonna cut their head. And you're gonna impress a lot of people in your life because of it. So you had some form of a confirmation, or you're about to, that's going to allow you to remove either someone who was extremely close to you. This can be someone, again, that you've chosen and would have been willing to do anything for. This can be a partner, your perfect partner, what you perceive to be your soulmate, your twin flame. This can be a long-lasting partner, friend. You are usually extremely loyal, and when it's misplaced, it takes you quite a while. Something terrible needs to happen, whereas you feel ultimately betrayed. But when you do make that decision, you will, no questions asked. You're just gonna do it. So something confirmed something to you. I believe you either took it upon you to seek for that confirmation. Either you asked a straightforward question, confronted someone with an important decision, faced them, stood up to them. If you didn't, you're about to, which cuts their head once and for all. There's no turning back after this point. This is someone extremely important. Sometimes this can be someone bigger than you in that sense, can be a parent, for example. And cutting the head simply means that you're going to make it impossible for you or anyone else to be able to restore this. For this person to ever hurt you or anyone. It's out of principle that you're doing it. your message is. Am I ready to let go of this buried shame? You weren't able to. Again, you either lacked in proof, or you hoped that, based on potential, person would be different. Or the feeling of shame is the lowest energy frequency there is. When you live in shame, you live in darkness. Maybe you already invested so much and you didn't know how to face it. So for you, much like for us, it's going to be one clean cut. When you live in shame, you live in darkness. Yeah. What part of you is ready to stand in the light? Is there any shame from a past experience that is ready to be healed? Today's soul action is heal the shame. This is, again, someone you may have felt as superior to you. So hence why it felt so wrong for you to either call them out or even question them or their authority. And it was so uncomfortable and difficult for you. Because that would have confirmed that it's time for you to break away from it. And you weren't necessarily ready. And excuses can be many. You were either timing, or you were waiting for that right opportunity, the right information. Because in your heart you were hoping that you were wrong, or that the person may turn back around, or understand, or empathize, or change their behavior, or yeah. So heal the shame by giving it a name. Yes, this is a specific person for you. Bring it to the light and let it be seen, heard, and healed. Where is it? We put it back. Yes. Look. Put it to the light and let it be heard, seen, and yeah. It's revival season and healed. Replace the shame with your soul's truth and justice. You may be dealing with a Libra, or you have Libra within your chart. Either way, it's about divine justice of some sort, morality, virtue, and loyalty and honesty. And you were betrayed in a manner that you just couldn't ignore. Something got triggered, the wrong button was pushed, someone crossed over a boundary and hurt you in the worst of ways, in virtue, principles. Fill in the blank. My soul's truth is Gemini. Gemini reversal, of course. Another 8. 8 of Cups, AIL, number 67. 13, adding up to 4. Your foundations are shaking, Gemini. God, the pleasure of man's children. I think you never had them, or at least your reality hasn't been built upon your virtues or principles or truth or genuine needs. Or the pleasure of man's children. Transformation gives consolation in adversity. There is no consolation to be given because you're asked to live truthfully and sincerely according to your genuine needs. This is a painful revelation. You worked on your reality for so long. You may have even been successful, but at this point it's unfathomable, inconceivable for you that you would be able to live one single second more within that counterfeit, illusory reality that you now see as such. It's no longer viable. It cannot contain you. It starts to kind of like shift, whereas it's not even tangible. And even if you wanted to grasp onto this situation, family-wise, societal-wise, career, profession, occupation, passions, self-expression, inner and outer experiences, spiritual connection, vibration, etc., mentally, emotionally, you physically, this is affecting you physically. How did I stray so far from who I am? From this is it's not viable for me to be able to exist within this reality that I built, this world, this bubble, this family, this home, this career, this no, it's you're gonna break out because you need air. It wasn't worth it. Whatever you obtained, the price for it is revealed now, because it seemed to come at the ultimate betrayal. Betrayal towards yourself, your actual needs, your inner child, your soul, your spirit, your beliefs, your values. You cut a deal, you made an exchange, you constantly compromised, betrayed yourself, and now it's simply you're asked to literally drop it all. Message for you. Oh, sorry. What if it isn't true and that's what you're struggling with? All of this is doing nothing to me. What is this? It's not, this is not true. You're starting to see how it just crackles and falls to the ground. Everything has no foundations. That's what I felt. Foundations there. The reality you've built is not based on your actual foundations. And now that they're revealed, you're asked to start building back up again. But in order to do that, let all else go. The thing you are telling yourself right now, the concrete reasons why you think you don't belong, you cannot do it, you won't get there, you're not enough, or it's not for you. The real reason is because it is not. You convinced yourself that it was until reality kind of told you otherwise. Your soul told you otherwise. What if it wasn't true? Today's soul action is a time for a soul chat. Close your eyes, put your hands on your heart, and ask the wise one within you, what if it isn't true? What else might be possible? You start to open up. What if this is my opportunity to live in my own truth, according to my heart, according to my desires, to my what else might be possible? What if all of this is just nonsense? Sometimes it just comes at it's only natural that once you obtain something, it's time to seek or aspire for something else. The problem is that you've always wanted that something else all along. This never had the potential to fulfill you, but somehow something convinced you that if you get this, you're gonna be fine and be able to be satisfied by it. No. Your soul aspires to something very specific, and you're asked to be courageous and honor it now or never, basically. Journal your answer. What lie do I need to let go of to reach my soul's truth? That you're fulfilled by material things or realization or status or your soul is alive and it's asking you to honor it. Your spirit, right? And here we are to our beloved Cancer. So family matters are important, commitment, loyalty, relationship, social life, compassion, empathy, strength, and purposeful actions or work, extending ourselves towards others. Strength in reverse, Cancer, the raising God. You have to process something right now. You're definitely advised to process something entirely on your own. Hakamaya, number 16, the raising God. Loyalty, delivery from those who seek to oppress and brings victory. You need some time on your own. Lately, you may have had this impression that others may exploit you, and to some capacity, I'm sure you're true. But there's frustration, and somehow you forgot that all along, this is your very nature. What you do need to do is to learn to give with less expectation. Give because it's your nature to do so. And most importantly, give to those you feel that genuinely deserve. You don't have to love everyone, Cancer. In the process, you forgot to love yourself. Now you're weak, tired, exhausted, frustrated, bitter. Most definitely you weren't appreciated to your maximum based on intention. It doesn't mean that your actions perfectly conveyed your actual intentions. You may have a lot of love in your heart. Doesn't always quite align with how you act, speak, communicate, right? So there's this disharmony. Why? Because obviously there's expectation, a sense of frustration, so some codependency or feeling of unworthiness. That's why you overgive, which leads to frustration, because you no longer discern whom you actually genuinely want to give to, for what reason, are they capable of reciprocating, are you satisfied with what they can offer, if anything, in return, and so on and so forth. No, you just gave because for you it was like emotional investment. So it became a toxic love, almost imposed, almost a persona. People started to kind of distrust and exploit at the same time. This oversharing and overgiving, and the codependency at the other extreme that arises from it due to emotional dissatisfaction. The feeling used or exploited, or hence feeling the lack of genuine love. It's because you gave too much. So balance yourself out to exist even there where you may not be of any actual use to someone. You gotta find that self that a priori has intrinsic worth. So self-esteem, respect, processing your emotions, taking spiritual accountability, individuating the pain, the trauma, and the expectations, and your actual genuine needs, and start honoring them as they are, right? You need emotional love. Maybe you're with the wrong, some form of an emotional depth. Maybe you're with the wrong partner. Did you consider that? It's useless for you to be frustrated as a person because they're not able or capable, or even if we see on why that could have happened, even if a person wants to, you may not have allowed them. Because if you're always giving, how are they supposed to do so? You don't need anything because you have to be the one who always gives. So you play the part of not needing anyone only to suffer in realizing that others may not actually need you either. And even worse than that, you couldn't pay with all the sacrifice for love. Because you don't have to. If someone either loves you or they don't. And vice versa. You don't have to pay anyone to love you. You don't. And you cannot make or force or convince anyone. If anything, the more you try, I guess you try to render yourself indispensable in order to ensure that you wouldn't be abandoned, because it ties in back with loyalty as well. Fear of abandonment. Your message is toxic and codependent attachment has confused you or not allowed you to have discernment in choosing a partner that truly matches your spiritual, emotional needs, that reciprocates, aligns vibrationally. Know thyself. The rest doesn't matter. The only thing that matters truly to you is that you align in vibration. What am I most afraid of losing? As I said, fear of abandonment. As we grow, change, and transform our lives, it requires us to let go of something that was to make room for something that will be. And we just started off with that. You open your hands to let go of something. If you were to take the big leap today, would you feel scared of losing love, safety, and belonging? What if it was a big fat lie? What if it was impossible to lose any of those things because you have the power to give everything you need to yourself? Today, so you cannot even blame anyone at this point. You're keeping yourself in this loop. You gotta be courageous and have your actions, your start building the reality to match your inner world. Today's soul action, name that fear and look at the worst case scenario. Find a solution. Take your power back by being certain of who you are and where you are going. Today's mantra or prayer is, or affirmation, I move forward knowing I am powerful beyond measure. I am loved, I am safe, and I belong. Okay, I think it's reversed. But Leo, you came up in Cancer's energy with the sun, and we know Capricorn is in the sun, so this is also parting of the ways, meeting of the right twin flames, power couples, genuine soulmate, beautiful energy. Powerful alliances are built now, or are beginning, or are coming into making, that will last for many, just for the rest of their journey. Four of Swords energy, Leo. 41, 5. The God of Trinity, you've been doing too much. Mission protects against slander and impious people. You've been doing too much. The art of war, right? You're facing everything as if you're pushing against mountains, conquering, doing. You gotta learn renunciation. More trust in the process, yourself, your abilities, but release into some capacity. Anyone else's, you may be competing, comparing, and setting your goals high for all the wrong reasons. What if you already have achieved the things that you aspire to? Hell. Four of Swords. Take a moment. There may be also news of losses of limitation, sometimes forced limitation, such as recovery in hospitals, and not necessarily yours, people you know, I have to say it. Sometimes prison or imprisonment, the threat thereof, some restriction, whether legal, mental, emotional, physical, biological, and so on. You have to not over, you may have burned yourself out, overestimated your abilities, undermined someone's authority, trampled over the wrong feet, done whatever you needed to do. Whatever you needed to do in order to get to this point. Okay, I'm not sure if the sound still is on. So, whatever you did now, this is the time to literally bury the hatchet. This is about release. There was a tension here, some form of a chase, a pursuit, something absolutely you couldn't let. This is the time where you, even if you wanted to, you know you can't at this point. Put it to rest. Cut losses, be grateful for what you did achieve, and which is amazing when compared to something less than what you aspired. Go at the opposite end. Think about people starving. Think about you've already achieved amazing results here, right? But what for? You gotta heal, you gotta restore physically. Some news or some external factors may contribute to that. It will sadden you, it will bring you back slowly to center. Yes, through pain, through, again, will call back your spirit, your soul to the things that truly matter to you. Family, speaking of, you embody loyalty as well. Courage, fierceness, individual power and personal power, sovereignty, commitment to oneself and fulfillment of one's nature and purpose unapologetically, and so on. But this was led to an extreme where at one point something toxic started insinuating itself. You may not have realized. You may have started with attempting to achieve something for all the right reasons, right to you, but you lost yourself along the way. And you didn't even know why you were chasing something at this point. Were you chasing towards something? Because it seems to be so extreme, whereas almost tells us that you were actually escaping from something. Something was chasing you all along. And you were trying to balance that out by saying, yeah, but at least I'm going to reach that palace, that castle. I'm going to build that empire. Do you have to? And if so, why? So it's a need to meditate, go within, heal physically. You got changes to make here. There may be burnout. Other severe complications, you really have to tend to your health here because of you putting this pressure on you. So it's the nervous system, it's blood pressure, it's your eating habits, it's your lack of sleep, it's your you're a superpower when you get on top of a situation or focused on something. But this was tunnel vision burnout. You didn't care about yourself anymore per se. Only about the self that you anchored yourself into becoming, which we're all called to do that. It's how it works. But again, why? Do you have to? What's the price of it? Is it worth it? You gotta reevaluate everything here. Take some time out. Accept help if offered to you, and put the same effort in you getting back in shape physically, emotionally. Revisit your needs, your project, and set a new scale of standards of more in alignment with what your spirit genuinely needs or wants. Or it's a time to rest. Time out, Leo. Your message is, what boundaries need to be created or strengthened within my relationships? Again, you have to go through something on your own here. To create more healthy boundaries, we must first get in tune with our own needs, desires, and feelings. You became so competitive, even against your very needs, with anyone in your life. So yeah, you need to find yourself here. Whether you go outside in nature, tend to change your habit, but just remember you exist as well. Honor your needs. Listen to your body, to your spirit, to your desires and feelings, and believe we are worthy of them. They were bottled down completely. They just turn into this kind of destructive fire. Yes, you managed to yield it, and what could have been extremely destructive, and forge away for something. But what if you don't have to face life like that, but rather like the river going down? You can flow over things around them, you can, and keep going, right, towards your purpose, on your path. So in your relationship, it's essential to know where they end and where you begin. Today's soul action: when we separate our energy from others, we gain clarity about what we really want. Then we stop doing things that no longer align with ourselves. If you are an empath, you can still be compassionate towards others without taking on their stuff. It is safe to trust that you are not here to fix anyone. Today's mantra: I have everything I need within me now, and so do they, anyone else, right? I am worthy of my needs, and I set boundaries based on what's best for me. You gotta set boundaries when it comes to ambitions and realize where they stem from. Virgo, the Fool, the Exalting God, Vehuya, 1 in this deck, will and new beginnings, assist with difficult and great undertakings. Definitely new beginnings for you. You've already made important decisions here, you're moving on. Number is 1, initiation, new projects, planting new seed, starting new activities, changing your lifestyle, your mindset, in your approach. You may be starting to express yourself a lot more. And this may also be you being rewarded for something or acknowledged as an authority, as a master, either at your craft, your trade, within your work. And so therefore rewards for merit, glory, achievement, respect, accolades, acknowledgements, awards, raises. If you are looking to invest, a great undertaking in that sense. If you are looking for loans or purchases, and this is it for you. Not necessarily where you're gonna do it, because it's a 1. This is where it all begins. You're setting down the rules, the laws, the projects, the intentions. You're moving in a whole new chapter. You've already made the power moves here, and we've seen that for you. And your card is, where am I called to use my voice right? Exactly what I felt. You're speaking a lot more. Being focused, directed, unapologetic, more direct and courageous. This is you embody loyalty per se, and you know where it's going to be at. You're not confused, and if it's invested here, it's not going to be invested elsewhere, because you give 100%. And the voice is about what Jung mentioned in regards to the rise of the introverts, of the intuitive introverts, right? You had all this inner world, you did things by thinking that your inner world is separate from how it needs to translate into practical. Now, even more and more so, it's going to align with it. You're going to live by the very things you've always thought, felt, believed, knew. You're going to be a lot more authentic, and you're going to have that sense of liberation and freedom to be exactly where you are, who you are. Say what you need to say. Set your boundaries correct if you have to, but also guide and teach and advise. And you're gonna use your communication abilities, not just your silent love language or social cues or body language. No, you're just gonna straight up communicate. Right? It's gonna be so powerful because again, it's gonna align. Therefore, no longer leaving any time for any place for any doubt, room for doubt, or being accused or ill understood, or which leads to frustration, right? Because now you're gonna convey and express real time everything you knew, you know, you feel, you think, you. So that's gonna give you a lot more clarity in relationships and projects, and it's gonna save you a lot of time and confusion and pain and misalignment with others, and it's going to also open you up a lot more. So you're going to build powerful connections based on mutual trust, vulnerability. So again, beautiful, beautiful energy. Where am I called to use my voice right now? Is your message. You have a soul script that was written to be spoken. Your story matters. You have the facts to back it up though, right? And your actions to match them. Your story matters, and it's time for you to share it with the world. So inner, outer heart, so beautiful. Speaks of friendship most likely as well, trust, empathy, connection, community, family. Share your story with at least one person today. Be brave and speak your truth. Your voice will be the catalyst for healing in others. You're gonna open up and share everything that up until now you may have just kept to yourself. Libra. The Queen of Wands in reverse. The hidden God. 4. Your foundations need to shake as well because of lack thereof. You have to start with the foundations here. Your reset is full circle. I'm even struggling to find a word for it. Divine power guards against mental troubles. That battle in the mind again. You had powerful forces working. Then again, you had to, if you don't make it past this point, then you're not ready to live in truth, right? Divine power. The angelic hierarchy. There are forces trying to assist you here. But your will, your bitterness, your anger, there's either envy or jealousy that's consuming you. Disempowerment. You feel you're not enough. You feel you fail. You're very harsh on yourself. You forgot that you're a vessel, a sacred vessel. So you're refusing the healing, the guidance, you're resisting it. You may not even see it, actually. You're either struggling with seeing the divine within you, so that means purpose, but not at intuitive emotional level. This season is going to be for you to trust and allow Father to see the opportunities, to individuate what truly matters to you, and take measures or actions, or see the opportunities as you're being led to building something grounded, strong, based on your virtues, foundations, dreams, and principles, your true ones. So it's back to basics energy, in both the spiritual, practical, back to basics. For example, do you have ideas or genuine beliefs that may be controversial, politically incorrect, and no one cares? It's on you to determine if you want to live by them. If you don't want to share them, that's fine. No one has to validate them. Guards against mental trouble. So you had protection all along. That's why you didn't completely lose your schlit. But a powerful one for that. Elemaya, your number is 4. And the Queen of Wands in reverse is that feminine, that the scorned feminine, that she's been so alone, so dishonored, so disrespected, so humiliated, so unnurtured, unloved, uncared for, and whereas she doesn't know what she is. Perfect. You don't have to, and you don't have to prove it. Neither does anyone else. Neither. No. Perfect. Now you can be anything you want. Just don't be the scorned feminine. Your trial, Gemini has the same. Speaking of air, forgive yourself now. You're taking it back on yourself, onto yourself. Almost as if you feel a sense of, maybe I'm not worthy to be happy. Maybe there's some form of an acceptance that shouldn't have happened, of either limitations that were not real or were imposed upon you, or someone else's, a karma, a destiny, a fortune. Maybe this is life. This is no. No. You are supposed to be elevated now. So you have things that are already there, powerful foundations, but you're afraid to live by them, to trust them, to follow them along as they guide you, to even to challenge or even to acknowledge them right now. Either because you feel they're controversial, or they don't meet the definitions of good and kind and just and beautiful, and so therefore you never got to live your life. You've constantly tried to live inadvertently someone else's, which translates into comparison due to lack of self-esteem, navigating towards terrible people for you, you yourself not being the person that you could have been for someone else, and so on. Not discerning good from evil, overgiving, limiting yourself, disrespecting yourself, betraying yourself, all in hopes that one day someone will love you. Cancer has done that as well. Overgiving, overextending yourself, putting up with nonsense, and following along with everybody else's desires and plans. And your message is, am I on the right path? In reverse. Sometimes we second guess what we are doing. We lose trust in the process and question if we are even on the right path at all. Of course, that's why it's hard. This is yours. You have to break out of illusion here. Know this. You are on the right path. Keep going. Keep believing. Keep remembering that you made a soul contract that you are currently fulfilling in every area of your life. Even if you can't see it, that doesn't mean it's not real. Today, search for all the ways you are aligned with your soul's purpose. The signs will appear. Let this newfound trust fuel your next step. You gotta make that decision and flip things. Flip things on the opposite. I am worthy. I am sacred. I am divine. Forces of nature move to assist me. I am deserving. I am loved, or even better, I am love. I am a light and a blessing unto the world, etc. I'm truth. I'm beauty. I'm honesty. I'm justice. Obviously, you cannot do that as long as you don't make that commitment to yourself to live according to your true values, which means all else is not for you. It's not personal. You just gotta navigate. This is not for me. I don't eat that. I don't do that. I don't. So that you can keep on your narrow, difficult path, but yours, nevertheless. It's time you start living in other people's shadow, whether because it's the tyrants that victimized you, whether it's because they took power from you one way or the other, whether you gave it to them willingly, whether it doesn't matter, whether you try to exchange it for either love, acknowledgement, validation, compassion, acknowledgement. I believe your biggest struggle here is acknowledgement. It's all of ours, which leads to what identity crisis, a feeling of disconnection from source. You can analyze it mentally as much as you want. This is telling you, get out of your mind. And that was the exact energy of Cancer here, telling you, get out of your mind. Yes, drop in your heart, all throughout. And that's where you're going to rise back from, okay? On whom am I placing blame right now? I wanted to see it. Yeah, on yourself. A person who blames others has not begun their lesson. A person who blames themselves has begun their lesson. A person who blames no one has finished their lesson. Today's sole action is take responsibility. On whom are you placing blame right now? Again, whether it doesn't matter. Yourself. And today, I believe you're oscillating. All power seems to lie externally. No, it's invested in you. The moment you're ready to take it on, it's almost like you're being handed a magical mushroom or whatever. It's on you whether you take it or not. Don't be afraid. It's already there. Anything you could ever need exists in potential, but only if you're able to convey, to conceive, to entertain, at least entertain to some degree, that yes, you can be happy. Stop needing to translate how that looks by comparing yourself to others or allowing others to define happiness for you. No, happiness is a vibration that you can only reach when your actual needs are being met, not your counterfeit ones. You want love? Fine. For you, love is going to look in its own unique way. The perfect person will complete you. And to anyone else, that may be a horrible person. But to you, it's your other half. It's your perfect match. But if you insist on determining that you can reason your way through it, you can strategize, you can intellectualize, no. What do you love with your mind? Today, free yourself by releasing all victimhood, blame, and resistance. Exactly what we said. Resistance, victimhood, self-blame, blame. They don't belong where you are going. Only love and courage live there. Make a choice to do it. The choice. Even if you don't feel ready, listen to your heart. You will be led. I will pray for you, as usual. So it's a choice you gotta make. No one can make it for you. I pray you return home. But if you don't, and really want to, please ask for help. Even if it's just in your heart. So Father at least can give you that help which you're resistant to. Scorpio, Elemayan, and 4, your numbers. Five of Wands, Scorpio. Yeah, 26. Some conflict in regards to work. Some unexpected minor challenges. It may be bureaucratic, systemic, it doesn't matter, political. God listening in concealment. You're feeling it. You're feeling the shift coming, and you're concerned about how that's going to impact your reality. But I feel you're ready to take those measures. For you, it's rather taking, you're already in tune with your intuition, now more than ever. So especially if you're feminine, you already know, you feel what's coming. You're going to be one step in front of everyone else, because again, that translates into action. You're going to take the measures to protect your own interest. Make sure you're not hit by expenses or something, or politics and ambition wins judgment and protects all those who seek the truth. So if those around you, for example, in your field, or were up until now merely motivated by the financial gain, you are revealed to be the one that naturally was born to do exactly what they're doing. The devoted, the professional, the experienced, the divinely invested, the more capable. So you're either going to be made an example out of, or used as an example, in the sense of it was never only about the money for you. It was really purpose. So you're going to realize that around or throughout your environment, many will most likely fall off, choose to drop or let go, or it's good. There's more for you. Either way, it seems it ties in with career, professional life, and that major changes are occurring. On a personal level, you're going to be quite clear in expressing what you need. Yep. protect all those who seek the truth. I also see you either assisting in crucial ways people that you sense are high quality people, regardless of the current circumstance. You're going to help someone who's struggling with either advice, insight. You're most likely not gonna, you're gonna cover it somehow. You're gonna still keep your own insights to yourself, but act according to them, and here and there sharing those precious nudges of things that you know are about to go down. So especially in regards to work, you already know what's up, and you're gonna be able to not only foresee but rise on top of the situation. It's separation of wheat from chaff. If you had a lot of competition, well, not for long. Your message is possibility for marriages, higher levels of commitment, rekindling or fixing all situations, intangible opportunities for commitment. On whom am I placing blame right now? Much like Libra, you're still upset. And I think you have the right to. It may be the case that you already had challenges within your profession or career. Don't worry. Trust that intuition. Things are going to go in your favor. Don't be concerned. Again, you may have already felt something was going down and even experienced some well, either you didn't have as much work anymore, the pay was, taxes increased, it doesn't matter what it was, and you may have had panics, attacks or stuff like. Don't enter those dark states. You know, once you do, you're very hard to come out of, but you rarely ever do. But I do feel at one point this kind of cult for you to make important decisions within yourself, promises to yourself, and switch that energy and determine that you are going to navigate this by using your intuition and your insights and your nudges, and trusting it more all the way through, actually, because that's the only thing you have to go on with. You cannot anticipate what's going to happen socially, politically, economically, but you can always trust your intuition. And I believe at one point it's because you had that kind of a shocking, kind of a fearful, kind of a challenge over there. You've made a decision to trust your intuition and take the necessary steps here to make sure that you're not going to go down without a fight like anyone else. So you had a very positive, you switched to, from there where it seems as if this is going to go bad. That's how you felt about it. Then you decided, yeah, but we're going to see if this can also go extremely good for me. Amazing. So you see, kind of see the karmic nature of this. Yeah. Some go down, others go up. A person who blames others has not begun their lesson. A person who blames themselves has begun their lesson. A person who blames no one has finished their lesson. And yeah, I believe you're also out of the blaming. Libra is blaming herself. You know, you were pissed or probably upset at everybody else. The system was, you didn't like reality. You saw the corrupt nature of it. You always felt it, the corrupt hearts, intentions, the greed around you, right? And you tried to make it work, but you got kind of tired of it. Since you are hypersensitive and intuitive and so on, and connected, now you have to kind of rejoice even in the scarcity, because you almost see it as a divine correction. And it was about darn time. I'm willing to take some losses, but maybe I don't have to, as long as we finally return to something that feels rather realer, you know, based on more love and connection, and without constantly fooling one another, lying to one another. So you were just sick and tired of the game, of the competition, of the greed, of the deception of it. So that's why I guess you can navigate this, because you also see the silver lining in it. You see why it needs to happen, and you may have prayed for this to happen all along. All your life you may have wished. So for you, it's the impact, regardless how it affects you in your world subjectively. You are anchored also in the macro, in understanding why this needs to happen, in the zeit, in the spirit of the age. So that's why you can navigate this. You understand the necessity and how this works, because karmic, right? No wonder you had same card as Libra. So That's the process. Once you see the injustice, the disharmony, the right, how the good are broken and pushed down, and the worst are pushed up and elevated, and you kind of had the same sentiment, except you had a different approach to it. You decided to be more cold, more calculated yourself, detach and keep your own inner world to yourself, your own emotions. But it's just so too heavy for you. It's such a sacrifice as well to never be able to express how you truly feel, right? You can only do it for so long. So it's sort of liberation for you. You're gonna be more honest than ever, which will lead you to actually only filter out and only connect with the best of people. The more sincere, the more pure at heart and intention, the non-exploitative, the non-jealous, toxic. So for you, it's quality or nothing. Today, so you're blaming the whole of system altogether. You saw the corrupt nature of it. Today, free yourself by releasing all victimhood, blame, and resistance. They don't belong where you are going. Only love and courage lives there. And you made that choice. That's exactly what you did. You said, I'm gonna live as if it's all fine. I understand where this is going. I'm grateful for it. I welcome it. It was a long time coming. Finally. Make a choice to do it, even if you don't feel ready. Listen to your heart, you will be led. You may have had an event that actually showed you just that. Something may appear as negative, only to realize, oh, this was actually, I kind of like this. Perfect. So now you're genuinely full on a believer. Literally. Sag. A reversal, the moon in reverse. Ooh, okay, God is my strength. You either have something that your conscience is washing the floors with you, Sag. Divine revelation reveals messages and has the power to destroy. It's not number. We have Gabriel on you. You experience what is known as judgment. God is my strength. Whereas you've either departed, turned your back, or challenged God himself. This is what happens when those who know, right? You may have acted ignorant when all along you were choosing to do something that's now coming back around to hunt you. You either hurt an innocent person, at that time you may have had a justification. Little did you know that there will come a time when you will have to face what now translates as that version of yourself, right? Judgment. There's a revelation that you may have resisted up until a certain while, but, well, it's a painful revelation that you're going to have to start processing right now. It's either guilt or shame, or so for you it's a need to face yourself right now and your emotions and that voice of your conscience, and in order to return to peace. What can I burn? This time it's not gonna work with escapism, staying active, just doing stuff left and right, running. It's not gonna work. Meditation, introspection, isolation, limiting, restricting energy. Whether it's willing or otherwise, you're gonna be restricted, Sag. There's a reason for that. God is calling you to have a chat with him now. Burn it all. The ugly lies, the pain, the shame, the criticism. You always had a justification, right? You got away with it. The images that run through your head, the reminders of what you did wrong, and the proof that you are not enough. Burn, baby, burn. That's what you're going to have to go through. Because now the shadow is literally going to wash the floors with you. You got to defeat it. Your soul is calling. It's time for a rebirth. You are like the phoenix rising from the ashes, but you gotta burn first. No longer attached to the past. You are free. Your wings are ready. Use them. You cannot escape this. Before you enter this phoenix mode and rise, you have to, something within you has to die forever. anger, bitterness, egoism, rage. Make the choice that you will no longer fear, I believe it's for you, that you will no longer let the past define you, Sag. Pick up your pen. What will your next chapter look like? In other words, the door to redemption is always open. What are you going to do to balance that out? Don't you think that you are also evil, and everybody's called to reconsider, revisit what they were thinking that they were doing? Have you seen the self-righteous? Have you seen the ones who sacrificed themselves to save other people's lives, and the bitterness and rage that arose from that, and they had to be reminded, wait a minute, you don't have to do that, you have to stay true to where you're called to, with no expectations, with no but generosity, kindness, and victimhood and sacrifice turned into their personality, their persona, their out of sense of unworthiness, and others took your route, right? Burn it all, let's go through this adventure and not care and not give a damn about consequence, etc. And you're also called back to remember who you are, right? It doesn't matter what extreme one goes. Everyone is called back home sooner or later. And then we have to find a balance. The overly kind learns to set boundaries and so on. The overly self-indulgent will have to set boundaries with themselves and expand more towards empathizing or considering other people's needs, feelings, and emotions. Capricorn. A reversal, the 9 of Swords in reverse, the comforting God. 15:6. Something is beyond forgiving for you. I believe you're releasing something by having decided that it needs no further. It doesn't need a closure. Almost as if you're saying, it's not in my power, nor will I choose to do it. I don't have to do it. I don't have to forgive someone. I don't have to have that last conversation. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I don't have to have the last word. I don't need to be always understood. Or, yeah, it's releasing expectations when it comes to relationships or other people's opinion or value. You're no longer going to take it that personal. You're starting to see how much it has to do with them. But you're also seeing how that may have revealed something within you. Purification protects them from the impious. So no longer sitting with those who choose to live opposite to the virtues that you cultivate and practice and embody. And religious sentiments, faith. That's why you're releasing. You say, I leave it to God. I don't have to forgive. I don't. You're walking from faith. Something, though, is released without having it fully processed or alchemized. That's actually quite powerful, I have to tell you. You are stuck in a process, you cut it short, you made a decision, and you cut a chain, a bond. Because loyalty works at most, from out of all the signs, it works to your detriment, most out of any. Once you latch or attach, there is no process for you to release yourself unless it is brutal, violent, willing, and forceful. In your case, it was willing and forceful. Even if there were any set of conditions or timing placed on, I gotta wait for that, or maybe this could happen, or maybe whether past, future, and you decided in a moment of presence, sovereignty, and you said, I'm gonna cut, I don't care, I'm not even gonna try and define. You snapped out of your mind, and you did what needed to be done. What actually was almost like a confirmation of something that you already knew to be true. You didn't allow false hope, self-pity, or deprecation, or toxic patterns and egoism that needs to have us prove something to someone, seek for justice and restitution, as in many cases may be the case when you feel either mistreated, abused, and you said, no, we're not. I don't need it, not from them. They're not going to be able to give it to me. So this is exactly the energy that I had all throughout the day. You only answer to the Most High. To you translates the voice of your inner conscience. You already know who you are. But most importantly, Father does. So you won the battle in the mind with a clean, decisive, empowered decision to cut someone's influence over you. However that translates emotionally. You've made quite the shift here, because this was a long process, a repetitive pattern, whereas others may have held this power over you. And you realize, this is my weakness right here. It's enough that someone doesn't validate something, or doesn't misunderstands me, or accuses me of something, and I just get stuck, or attempts to, or betrays a promise, a covenant that for me is so important. That's their nature. Next time you don't choose traitors and cowards, and not at that state. So there's a lot of accountability and empowerment, and this had to be just cut. No. Once it's done, it's done. Your covenant, the contract was invalid. It was never real, and you have acknowledged that. There is no vow, no promise, nothing that sacred that connects us here. This was a trial. This was a test. I won it, even though it may not look like it. I was protected and managed to survive it. That's how it may have translated. Now I have to cut all and any influence that it may have on me and reap the rewards, which have rendered me a divine child. My faith is still there, as a matter of fact, stronger than ever. Grateful for the protection, grateful for the blessings. How does my body want to move today? I believe the reason for you having to do so is because you tend to be affected directly physically when you're struggling spiritually. So your body was telling you something that's got to go, whether it's mentally, emotionally, but it's the battle in the mind, this one. Trying to process something that wasn't processable, as in it made no sense. Because it's not logical. When we move, we change our state and raise our vibration. This new elevated state becomes a channel for more energy. Are you moving your body daily? Are you passionate about it? Is it time to try something new? Now it's going to, in your reality, this is what's going to happen this full moon. You're releasing old ways of doing things. You're starting to want and expand and listen more and try and act in that sense. Whether you're changing diet, whether you're changing your habit, you decide you need to connect more with someone or socialize or change the way you look. It doesn't matter. How does your body want to move today? Listen and joyfully do. Do things that make you happy. And grant yourself the blessing of, seeking to live out those things and experiences, and work towards those dreams, those needs, those expectations. You deserve to be happy. You already know yourself, I feel, because that level of processing, Nine of Swords. Aquarius. Nine of Wands. God, the impenetrable secret. 51, adding up to a 6. Hahasaya in reverse. Universal medicine, elevation of the soul, and the revelation of mystery. Okay, for you, it's the utmost importance for you to tend to your health. First and foremost, purging, cleansing, seek for help, professional or otherwise, wherever offered. Aquarius. For you, it's strictly chemical imbalances. However that translates. On an emotional level, it may render you extremely confused. Mentally as well, of course, but it also affects your head, health, blood pressure, etc. Absolute inner chaos and turmoil and extremes, and so it's substances. I felt it as clear as day. Refused or inability, for whichever reason, to do what you know you need to do, and that is remove something, cut it out, overcome, defeat it. But I do feel you're going to need extremely expert, prepared, the assistance of extremely prepared, well prepared, and professionals, people. Intervention, elevation of the soul, and the revelation of mysteries, universal medicine. And we were just speaking about that. Within the collective, we see something that mimics awakening. There's a confirmation bias though, because all of a sudden you finally found the reality, whereas all of the ideas that you were pondering and entertaining, that doesn't make them less true, start to kind of fit in, and you finally feel you can be heard, and but this is the start of something that I'm not sure if you can recognize it. It's psychosis, when again you rather look for validation of something that you've already determined to be true. And just because you think it to be true, it's not always the case that it is, or at least not in the manner, in the form that you think that it is. So something has contributed to exacerbating very toxic, untrue, not necessarily, because again they may contain a seed of truth, but they've taken quite the form and the shape, and that become a danger to you or others. Otherwise gentle and noble ideas may have turned into something extremely destructive for those around you, people who love you. They may have tried to tell you, not that what you are and thinking is wrong, but that there has to be a different measure or application of it, or another way for you to channel it into the world. Right now it's just rhetoric, because practical wise you cannot apply. You do not apply. That's how you know that there's some level of deception to it, because they don't work. They're not applicable in reality. So it's about ideas, visions, philosophies. You're extremely intelligent, but at this time you're called to get out of your mind and develop actual, genuine, emotional, as in connect back with your emotional intelligence, because one seems to prevail over the other. You need to find that balance in between heart and mind. But if pharmakia is involved here, you're not going to be able to do so. Whatever you've used, Aquarius, you're the first to explore, and anything there is out there. You may have felt you got it under control. It seems to have led something that otherwise may have been absolutely brilliant. It corrupted it and turned it into something. And thank heavens there are restrictions and limitations and that prevent us from enacting certain ideas that stem with certain goals or intentions, right? That can be extremely dark and destructive. This is how cult leaders are born, or cult followers, or they all start with the most idealistic or good-natured or good-intended of motivations and intentions. But yeah, at one point something infiltrates, and what? Either, again, a force, which translates, especially in a group setting, as psychosis, folie à deux, whatever, mass or collective, or usually it can also be in only two people, or where one validates the other. That doesn't make it true, right? Whereas another that makes it even easier is just outright consuming of something. Either way, you either ended up in just one of your exploration and adventures, and you may not have realized that at that point something you started taking then needs to be let go of now. And that's the best I can say. I pray you choose to remove whichever substance or element or thought form or challenge of any sort by simply seeking for help, which is available. then you can get back to starting to channel all of those amazing ideas into the world. Right now, no, you won't be able to. Or at least in this form, if you were to attempt to, you wouldn't be able to channel anything good, if that makes sense. And yes, there are such vessels that are used as forces for destruction, but this is not your case because you've been stripped from your sovereignty, even though you may not have realized it. You no longer have the ability or your free choice available to truly use right now. Something or someone, I guess, chooses for you. So that's why you need to remove that influence and return back to self. Does my life have room for more pleasure and play? Again, you forgot to have fun. You have forgot to enjoy what truly fills your heart with joy. Connection, love, companionship, family, right? You forgot about it. It just all went into the mind, become extremely... in what area are you lacking pleasure right now? So you have a toxic relationship with yourself at this point, without even being able to discern what self is there. Maybe in certain relationships or with work, is it possible to shift the seriousness of life to experiencing a more creative, wild and playful side of you, especially without the aid of anything, because you already have that potential within you? Today's soul action: what would happen if you added more play and laughter into your life? What area is lacking this right now? Take time to play. Let go of any need to produce anything. As I said, you're not going to manifest anything right now. Find that inner balance. Return back to self. The playful, the joyful, the free. Because if something's conditional, then it's no longer free, right? And it's kind of what you're struggling with. Remove the influences, whatever that may be, and may you be healed. Pisces. Aniel, the Two of Swords. God, Lord of all virtues, number 37. Here we are to 10. 10, 10. Breaking the circle. Lifts opposing barriers and brings victory. There's a lot of resistance for many to make this transition, to embrace the new. Only Virgo has a 1. And this implies an ending for you. In order to move forward, you got to put a full end to something. You got to make a decision to break a circle, to lift opposing barriers in order to gain victory. Lord of all virtues, it means if you want any form of a liberation, victory, happiness, and you got to practice your virtues, as in apply and come from a place of virtue. So no lying, no deceiving, no using other people, no exploiting, nor accusing, nor expecting anything from anyone. Yeah. You gotta be vulnerable, honest, sincere, open, transparent, courageous, loving, expansive, balanced in truth, left and right. Whereas you don't need anyone or anything to define anyone. You just are. You embody, you become a sacred vessel for ultimate truth and so on. Only to the just and the righteous. But in order for you to serve the righteous, you have to be righteous. You're a Pisces. I don't have to tell you much. The more I speak, the more you will most likely curse me. And no thank you. How does my body want to move today? Your intention is powerful, Pisces. Jokes aside, right? Your intention is powerful. You gotta yield that with more responsibility, presence. Right? When you get corrupted, right? As the high priestess, we get what? We get witches, we get Karens, we get upset, broken, disempowered feminine. A feminine that no longer has any love or healing. As a matter of fact, she spreads toxicity all throughout. We birth monsters we can no longer create or manifest. We lose connection with home, with one another. There's fear, there's darkness, there's chaos. It's almost as if we're all drowning. But most importantly, we disconnect from truth, from love. This is calling you to some form of, walking the middle path, neutrality, in alignment with, for example, justice when it comes to our perception of time, past, present, future, beauty, love, relationships. You got to empathize to a level whereas you see everyone as a part of you and are able to discern which aspects you need to connect with and which not, and whom you're supposed to assist and to what capacity, how. Breaking the circle, it means that again your intention is powerful. You were the maker of your own prison because you had certain intentions to either entrap, invoke, manifest something for yourself. Right, you had intentions. Whether you realized or not, the implications of said intentions is irrelevant. You yourself, you alone can break the prison of your own making. You limited and restricted yourself either to one person, one perception of love or relationships, of one dream, one goal, whereas you're supposed to be a vessel and a voice and a guide, and you are the balancing vibrational, emotional force for all of us, right? The channeling between us and the divine. You're supposed to hold the seat of the Holy Spirit, but in an energetical sense. Whereas justice, for example, Gemini has the god of time kind of an energy, whereas it's the judge of time, right? It allows us to continue on cycles, and whereas Libra is rather balancing in both intellectual and a practical sense of forces, in a more tangible sense. She is the ethers that has the power, whereas you literally are the vessel in which spirit is poured into, or fruit into the world. So especially if you're a feminine, you can have no responsibility or accountability for how you're being used, as long as there is no will of your own when it comes to how you impact other people, the collectives and communities in your life, people you come in contact with, the ideologies, philosophies, and so on. So you got to take that role as a neutral kind of a vessel, whereas Libras are called to always make a decision. You are supposed to merely hold and embody that vibration. All of them, all of the array of emotions, you got to embody them all. You are the realm of potential. Two things will always be true at the same time, right? But if you try and protect yourself from their emotions, all the ways in which you are going to try and escape your nature, your role to fulfill, and so on, are always going to be toxic and imprison you, limit and restrict you. So it's time you break the circle, right? Stop trying to think of yourself in a rather limiting manner, worldwide, when it comes to definition of self-worth, what you're deserving of, love, relationships, and just return to that point of potential, whereas you are everything and nothing, nothing and everything, whatever you gotta be, because you literally are like the sacred graal, let's call it, the cup that holds the potential. You're really not called to act on anything, you know that. Just hold that vibration, that belief, that vision, that's what you channel into the world for us. And if there's no actual belief within you, a vision, for example, for a different world, and because it's too painful for you to entertain it, or you're stuck on something else, on fear, on whatever, lust, greed, violence, vengeance, whatever it is, anger, in order to avoid the painful revelations that will lead all of us to be strong enough and make that decision to manifest something else, you have to hold that vibration within you, that vision, that dream, and all the rest will enact and do their part, so that they make it. We together we can make it. Well, not me, but I gotta exclude myself. Those who are still on the wheel out there, right, called to do so and capable, will complete that process. Everyone is called to do their part. You're called to hold a vision of love, of absolute faith, integrity, honesty, beauty, gentleness, compassion, but also all the other aspects that are used in a spiritual battle in order to balance things out. And that is severity, for example. Truth at any and all costs, whether personal or otherwise, and so on, right? Wherever you go to. So no no fear should condition you when it comes to holding that vibration, holding that spiritual space for us to be able to channel something into the world. In other words, consider yourself as the womb. If the womb is shattered or becomes toxic, the child, the baby, cannot come to fruition. Or if it does, it comes out monstrous. In the Two of Swords, in the Rider-Waite, you will also see her sitting on a rock. You are my fortress, you are my rock. Right? You may read Saint Peter, for example. And she's therefore rock, water. But speaking of ether, you channel straight from the ethers, right? That's why there's no earth, just rock. Rock speaks of a process of petrification. It gets you back to prima matter, to rather thinking and manifesting from an elemental kind of a perspective or take on things, right? With a raw, intrinsic nature, rather than with perceptions or various versions of them, to always return back to the actual truth in anything or anyone, including yourself. So back to basics. So, spirit above, water is your heart. Above comes in your hands, ether comes into air as you channel it below. As above, so below, right? In other words, you should have no fire. The fire should be completely extinguished at one point. Your angers then turn into the passions of the heart, and then they become completely irrelevant. Your own personal needs, your ego, basically it's no longer, it's obsolete. You are the only one, other than Gemini, but that's another thing, that should have no ego. And of course Libra, but that's again, it's in another sense, she does need to still embody a specific kind of a self at any time. But she's also a vessel merely for archetypes. As for you, you should have no self, basically, which is the hardest thing to do. So Pisces, choose love, literally. Otherwise, you're just going to destroy yourself in trying to be something that you are not. Connect more with nature. Reconnect with the feminine in a very... You need to ground yourself, I guess this is the element that you're missing right now. The money path. The path where money will be waiting for you. We were just talking about the fact in a life that you don't actually have to fight for what you need. Since you are a sacred vessel, everything shall come to you. The more you chase it, the more will escape you. The whale, the great warrior of nothing. There's the water, and there's you. You're big, but you're supposed to also be gentle, right? And it has everything it needs. The sorrow over loss. You need to face certain things that may have led you into this state of brokenness. And it's heartbreak. Again, you struggled with emotions. It was way too intense, and something broke within you. And you strayed from truth, from light, from love. Things will not always be this way. A change is coming. dealing the relationship with an older man. An arrogant, boastful person you should not cross. As I said, I'm not crossing you. God forbid, maybe I am. What are you going to do about it? Light-hearted, carefree time, as I said. Release, release, release. You'll be fine. You'll be provided for. You've had 1,000 excuses for you not staying in the state of surrender, release, but also, of course, readiness, and a knowing that you have whatever it takes to face whatever is thrown at you. You have nothing to prove to anyone, but do not stray from truth, the truth of who you are, the truth of, if you do channel something from above, it's supposed to be ultimate light, not the Lulu illusion, corrupt versions of love and delusions and fantasies and reality that turned out to be hell, right? So you're the vessel. You help us hold that vision. You're the force that allows us all, almost as if you become the Akashic, whereas we all can tap into something at the same time. But if you don't find it, because it's constantly messed up, we're going to struggle. So hold that beautiful vision. If you have to write it down, visualization. What is the vision you hold for humanity? That beautiful future. And I know it's painful because it hits with the contrast of what we currently have. And it's too painful for you. But I need you to hold it. Yeah. Of innocence, of playfulness, of joy, harmony, prosperity. Hold that vision for us. That's all you have to do. Close your eyes and feel yourself embraced by angelic wings of light. Feel the light dissolve your fears, concerns, and doubts, and fill your heart with peace and joy. Everyone is safe and all is well. There is no need for concern. This is the heaven we should all tap into. The angelic wings of light. Beautiful. If all our hearts are aligned in that sense, we can manifest this. Let our actions also align with our hearts. Have a blessed cycle. Shalom.